Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, the abortion issue is front and center at a forum with GOP presidential hopefuls and during a House vote to authorize military spending. And in Hollywood, actors join writers on the picket lines.
And the July weather forecast rolls right along as we head into the weekend. The latest on when we see more showers and storms ahead as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. We continue to follow a developing story tonight out of Pulaski County, and it's a sad one. 2 kids are dead after a boating accident. The coroner says a boat and a jet ski collided on Lake Cumberland this afternoon. We're told it happened just south of the Woodson Bend boat dock near Braunston. The names of those involved have not been released yet. We hope to have more about this from the scene coming up tonight at 6. A Kentucky judge has ruled Senate Bill 150 will be fully in force. The ruling pauses an earlier decision by a federal court in Louisville blocking a section of the bill prohibiting healthcare providers from performing gender-affirming care procedures on minors. Attorney General Daniel Cameron calls the ruling a win for parents and children.
Now settling into a warm and humid but increasingly oxymoronically dry Friday. No, that was a big word. Anyway, we continue to see those showers pushing out of the region as we head through tonight. We had a few in southwest Virginia, a briefly severe storm, still a couple just east of Pikeville, but starting to dry out this evening. You see very little else, a little bit in northern parts of Harlan County, but that's about it. Our downtown, or our hazard camera, it's working. It just doesn't feel like, you know, we've all been there, right? It's Friday. Low to mid-90s out there, 93 in Monticello. All of us really middle to upper 80s to right around 90. Temperature, dew points in the 70s, so it is very humid outside. Factor it all in. Feels like 98 in Harlan, 98 in Somerset. Feels like a $105 in Monticello. It is toasty out there. We'll continue to see the very warm air through this evening. Your forecast first. A couple of downpours can't be ruled out, but I think the main storm threat for the evening is passing through, low 70s as we head out there tonight. Steve, I'll have the very latest on when some more showers and storms could work in a few minutes.
Evan, thank you. New York architect Rex Heuermann has been charged in connection with the deaths of 3 of 4 women in the unsolved Giljo Beach murder investigation. That's according to the bail application from the Suffolk County District Attorney. The women became known as the Giljo 4. The case involves at least 10 sets of human remains discovered since 2010 in suburban Long Island. Abortion is the focus for many Republicans today as GOP lawmakers in Congress take aim at Defense Department abortion policies, while Republican hopefuls, presidential hopefuls, celebrate the passage of a tough new abortion law in Iowa. CBS's Willie James Inman has more on all this from Capitol Hill.
Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds signed a new law Friday banning abortions in the state after 6 weeks in most cases.
I could not imagine a more appropriate place to sign this bill than here at the Family Leaders Summit, alongside such strong advocates who have fought and prayed for the protection of life for decades.
The signing happened at an evangelical forum where Republican presidential candidates are courting voters and touting their own abortion policies.
I'm calling on all my Republican fellow candidates to endorse, as they should here today, a minimum standard of 15-week ban at the federal level.
The abortion issue was also at the heart of some changes House Republicans pushed through on a bill funding the military. The National Defense Authorization Act passed in the House Friday included an amendment banning the Pentagon from covering travel expenses for service members seeking abortions.
The core tenets of this year's NDAA are simple. Modernize and bolster our military, take care of our men and women in uniform, and cut out the woke garbage that the Biden administration has forced on our service members.
The changes are not likely to make it through the Senate, which begins debate on the bill next week. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The National Defense Authorization Act, which usually passes every year with broad bipartisan support, passed the House by a vote of 219 to 210, largely along party lines. 4 Republicans voted against the bill, while 4 Democrats voted for it. The CDC is facing big funding cuts, and some of the effects will be felt at the state and local levels. The agency is poised to lose about $1.3 billion in funds as a result of last month's federal debt ceiling negotiation. The money was initially allocated through COVID-19 supplemental funding. The cuts will directly impact state and local health departments. The last 2 years of the 5-year grant were slashed, worth more than $400 million. Donald Trump's lawyers are seeking a new court order to neutralize the Fulton County, Georgia investigation into the former president's conduct after he lost the 2020 election. Trump's lawyers filed petitions Friday to throw out evidence collected last year by a special grand jury and to ban prosecutors from presenting the material to a new grand jury. The petitions would also disqualify the Fulton County District Attorney from any related proceedings. President Biden is beating his rivals in fundraising for the 2024 election. His campaign says he raised $72 million in the first quarter since launching his re-election bid. That's for his own candidacy and the Democratic Party in general. By comparison, former President Donald Trump's campaign says he brought in more than $35 million in his second quarter. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign says he raised $20 million in more than 6 weeks on the campaign trail. Hollywood actors are joining film and television writers on picket lines. Today is the first day of a dual work stoppage that has forced U.S. studios to shutter productions as workers battle over pay in the streaming television era. The twin strikes, the first such joint effort in more than 60 years, will add to the economic damage from the writers' walkout that started on May 2nd, delivering another blow to the multi-billion-dollar industry as it struggles with changes to its business.
Well, obviously, we're not happy that we're on strike, but I am really pleased with the level of support that we've been getting, not only, of course, from our members, who had already voted 98% in favor of a strike authorization, and so many of them have spoken out in support of what we're trying to do on their behalf, but really the general public and the community at large. I think our message is really resonating with them.
In the wake of the strike, SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild of America are demanding increases in base pay and residuals. If you have not claimed your 2019 tax refund yet, time is running out. The IRS says nearly 1.5 million people could be eligible for almost $1.5 billion in unclaimed refunds. By law, taxpayers have 3 years to file and claim their tax refunds. Because of the pandemic year, the 3-year window was pushed back to July 17th. Tax year 2019 forms can be found on the IRS website, and they must be completed on paper rather than electronically. The White House is set to announce a $20 billion clean energy loan program. It will be funded by the Inflation Reduction Act and overseen by the Environmental Protection Agency. As part of the program, $14 billion will go toward a national clean investment fund competition awarded to 2 to 3 nonprofits. Those organizations will then dish out loans and credit enhancements to projects proposed by communities and local governments. A law enforcement source says a woman has been arrested in connection to the death of actor Robert De Niro's grandson. 19-year-old Leandro De Niro, Rodriguez's mother, confirmed his death on social media last week, but no cause of death was shared. The law enforcement source said a woman named Sophia Marks was taken into custody on a probable cause charge of selling drugs to a minor. Marks has not been charged with murder, and it's unclear if she has an attorney. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, top toys for the holidays are already in the pipeline. We'll have a preview of what parents may be searching for.
And here come the storm chances as we head toward the weekend. I'm breaking down the latest right after this.
WYM